I got the email during a sandstorm in Helmand province. Power flickered in the barracks, Wi-Fi barely held, but the message came through. Subject line, "Let's be adults about this." No warning. Just 3 lines. She had filed for divorce, emptied the joint account, moved her new boyfriend into our house. His name was Marcus. I read it twice, closed the laptop, took a shower in silence, didn't scream, didn't call her, didn't reply, just sat on the metal bench, water running down my face like it could wash the moment off me. That night I responded with one word: understood. No one in my unit asked questions. They could see it on my face. You learn to keep pain quiet out here. I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, but I showed up for duty like nothing happened. Because some battles don't happen in the desert. Some come from home. I met Rachel in 2009, on a cold Sunday afternoon at a mutual friend's barbecue in Tacoma. I'd just gotten back from my second tour, still adjusting to silence that didn't come with mortar rounds. She was studying to become a physical therapist back then. Bright, steady, full of energy I hadn't realized I'd missed. She didn't ask about what I'd seen overseas, just handed me a plate and asked if I liked sweet tea. I remember thinking it felt normal, easy. We got married 8 months later in a courthouse, just the 2 of us and a judge who smiled like he knew something we didn't. At first, she said she admired my discipline, the early mornings, the clean habits, the structure. But as years passed, admiration turned to something colder. Resentment, maybe. She didn't come from a military family. Her dad was a CPA, her brother ran a hardware store. They didn't understand deployments or silence or why someone would sign up for another round of it. Still, we built a life. Bought a 2-bedroom just outside Spokane. Got a rescue dog. Paid off student loans with the inheritance from my mom. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. She made the place feel like home. Little plants in every room, candles that smelled like cinnamon in the fall. When I came back from my 3rd tour, she seemed smaller, distant, like she'd lived an entire life while I was gone and wasn't sure how to bring me back into it. I felt it, but I didn't name it. We just kept going like most people do. Smile, eat dinner, talk about things that didn't matter, pretend love doesn't fade when you're too tired to fight for it. It didn't happen all at once. That's the thing about distance, it creeps in slowly, like a draft you don't notice until you're already cold. Rachel started going to the gym more often, 3 nights a week, sometimes 4. Said she needed to clear her head to feel better. I believed her, mostly, but she never came home tired, no sweat, no soreness. Just fresh makeup and the same perfume she used to save for date nights. She started locking her phone. New passwords, new patterns. Said she was being more cautious because of identity theft. I didn't push. I've never been the kind of man to scroll through someone's messages. If you have to dig for truth, you probably already know it. She made new friends too. Names I didn't recognize, voices I never met. Just girls from the gym, she'd say. But she stopped telling stories, stopped asking about my day. Dinner got quieter. Her laugh didn't come as easily. One night I caught her smiling at a message, then quickly tucking her phone away when I walked in. She looked up at me like I'd caught her doing something terrible, even though I hadn't said a word. I kept waiting for her to bring it up. For her to say something, anything, but she never did. And I didn't either. That's not who I am. I was raised to let people reveal who they are over time. She was showing me. I just didn't want to see it yet. So I nodded when she said she was tired, said goodnight when she turned away in bed, and told myself this was just a rough patch. But somewhere in my gut, I knew better. The morning I left, she didn't cry. Didn't hold on longer than necessary. Just a quick hug at the airport. A dry, "Stay safe, okay?" Like I was heading off to a long shift, not a war zone. I stood in line at the gate thinking about how light her arms felt, how far her eyes seemed. The first week in country, I emailed her when I could, told her how hot it was, how the chow was even worse this time around. She replied once, said she was busy with work and that the dog missed me. After that, nothing. 2 weeks went by. I sent her a video of a local market, no response, no check-ins, no "I miss you," just silence. I started talking less in the mess hall, kept to myself between patrols. Guys called home, FaceTimed kids, shared photos. I kept refreshing my inbox and pretending it didn't matter. Every day I felt her slipping further away. The memories we shared started to feel like someone else's life. I stopped wearing my wedding band, not out of anger, just because it didn't feel true anymore. One night I sat on a crate watching the moonlight spill across the rocks and realized I hadn't said her name out loud in weeks. It was like she'd already left. She just hadn't told me yet. And so I waited. Not for her messages, not even for answers. Just for the moment she'd finally make it official. It came in the middle of a sandstorm. I was off patrol trying to fix a busted comms box when the notification buzzed on my tablet. Subject line, "Let's be adults about this." There were 3 sentences in the email. She'd filed for divorce, emptied the joint account, moved someone, named Jeremy into the house. Just like that. No fight, no warning, not even a phone call. I stared at the screen while the wind howled outside. Read it once, then again. I didn't feel much, not right away. Just still, like everything around me had stopped except for that glowing screen. I closed the email, went to the showers, let the water run longer than usual. Didn't cry, didn't curse, just stood there, breathing through it. That night, I opened my bunk locker, pulled out my tablet, and wrote back one word. Understood, didn't sign it. Didn't ask why, because the truth was I already knew. I didn't tell anyone. Not Wilson, not my CO, not even the chaplain. What would I say? That my wife emptied our account and moved in another man while I was carrying a rifle in the desert? That she ended our marriage with a PDF? I kept my routine. Morning run, patrol, maintenance checks. I nodded when spoken to, ate in silence, slept with my boots near the door like always. On the outside, nothing changed. But inside, something hardened. Not rage exactly, something quieter, more dangerous, like steel cooling after the forge, Wilson noticed. He was sharp like that. "You good?" he asked one night in the tent, not looking up from his book. I nodded. "Stuff back home," I said. He didn't press. Military guys know when to leave. Alone. But while everyone else slept, I lay awake replaying the last 6 months. The locked phone, the new gym routine, the casual goodbyes. I should have seen it coming, and maybe I did, because deep down I wasn't surprised. Hurt, sure. Hollowed out, yes, but not shocked. She thought I'd break, that I'd fall apart from halfway across the world. But I've buried friends, carried their bodies across sand, watched lives end in seconds. You think an email can destroy? No, it just focused me. I'd always been methodical, part of why I lasted in the service so long. Emotions get you killed. Planning keeps you alive. That mindset didn't change when the email came. If anything, it sharpened. 6 months before deployment, I'd noticed changes. Small things. So I started preparing. Not out of paranoia. Out of instinct. I rented a small storage unit across town. Nothing flashy, just big enough to hold what mattered. My birth certificate, our marriage license, the deed to the house, which, thanks to the VA loan, was in my name alone. My grandfather's watch, my mom's silverware, documents tied to my pension and service benefits. I packed them neatly in plastic bins and told Rachel I was clearing clutter. I also opened a separate bank account. Quietly. Transferred. Just enough of my pay each month to avoid suspicion. A backup fund, in case. Now, sitting in the barracks, I opened that account. Balance looked healthy. Not enough to buy peace, but enough to not start from zero. She thought she'd stripped me. Bare. That I'd be stuck overseas while she rebuilt our life without me. But I wasn't starting from scratch. She moved first, sure. But I wasn't standing still. I opened a notepad on my tablet and started a list. Check credit report. Contact military legal. Lock down pension access. Review refinance paperwork she mentioned last fall. She made her play. Now it was my turn. Not revenge, just readiness. 2 weeks after the email, I was sitting in the mess tent when my phone buzzed. Another withdrawal alert. I opened the app. The joint account was down to $2237 and gone. I checked savings. Emptied. $47,000 vanished in 3 weeks. Transfers made to a new account I didn't recognize. That wasn't just betrayal. That was theft. I stepped outside, called the bank from the satellite phone center, spoke to someone named Jennifer, told her who I was, gave her verification codes. Her voice went quiet when she pulled up the activity. "She's been transferring money since the week after you deployed," she said. That was just the start. I remembered Rachel mentioning something about refinancing last year, casually, like it wasn't a big deal. I dismissed it then. Now it made my stomach tighten. I called James, an old Army buddy turned attorney, told him everything. He asked for documents, screenshots, account history. When I emailed him copies of the refinance paperwork Rachel filed, he called back in 5 minutes. "That's not your signature," he said. "It was close, but not mine. Middle initial was off. Slope of the R was wrong. She'd forged my name, pulled $330,000 in equity out of our home, listed herself and someone, named Jeremy as co-borrowers. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was fraud. I didn't yell, didn't confront. I just started documenting everything silently. Let her think I was too far away to do anything. That was her first mistake. That night, I logged into the home security system. I'd set it up last year during leave. Cameras on. The front door, living room, and kitchen CUs all cloud-backed. Rachel had probably forgotten. The live feed loaded slowly. My truck was in the driveway, but I hadn't driven it in months. A silver SUV sat beside it. A man got out. Early 30s, gym build. He walked up to my door, used his own key. In the living room, he poured coffee into my Seahawks mug. Sat on the couch I picked out. My dog, Jasper, jumped on him like they were old friends. And then Rachel walked in, laughing. Same laugh I used to hear when she'd call me during deployment just to say goodnight. She touched his arm, kissed his cheek. They looked like they owned the place. I didn't blink, just watched. Not rage, not heartbreak. Something colder. I opened a fresh note on my tablet, added a new line to the list, document footage, timestamp everything. I didn't confront her. That would have made her defensive. Instead, I kept collecting, quietly, cleanly. James filed a formal complaint with the bank over the forged refinance. We included scans of my actual signature from military and financial documents, plus the fake one from the loan. The difference was subtle, but legally it was enough. We contacted the fraud department, filed a police report, froze the refinance account. Rachel wouldn't know anything had changed until she tried to touch the money. Meanwhile, I reviewed the loan application again. That's when I saw it. Her boyfriend Jeremy listed as co-borrower, and he had priors. DUIs, a fraud charge back in 2019. I passed everything to James. He reached out to a federal contact he'd worked with before, someone in financial crimes. Turns out Jeremy was already on a watch list. I didn't sleep much that night. Not from nerves, from focus. I logged into the security cams and watched as they gave a tour of the house. A man I didn't recognize took pictures. Real estate agent, Daniel Spencer. James ran his name. Another, link in the chain, known for fast, under-the-table property deals. We had signatures, footage, financial records, intent. Rachel thought she was living her best life. She had no idea she'd stepped into a trap. She texted 2 days later. "We need to talk, in person." I didn't reply. She followed up. "Let's be adults about this." The same line from her divorce email. That told me everything. She still thought she was in control. James advised me not to engage. "Let her feel safe," he said. "She'll show her hand." So I stayed quiet. Let her think I was far away and powerless. What she didn't know was that federal agents were already involved. The FBI had opened a file, Financial Crimes Division. They were interested in Spencer, even more interested in Jeremy, and now Rachel was on their radar too. That night, she and Jeremy had another house meeting. I watched it all from my laptop. Spencer was walking them through sale paperwork, smiling, confident. They had no idea, because sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's letting people walk into their own downfall, thinking no one's watching. It happened faster than I expected. 30 minutes after I forwarded the security footage to Agent Patel, unmarked SUVs surrounded the house. I watched from down the block, tucked into my parked rental. Jeremy was led. Out in handcuffs first, yelling something about a misunderstanding. Spencer followed, hands behind his back, head down. FBI agents collected files, laptops, loose paperwork. Rachel stood on the porch, frozen. She didn't scream, didn't run. Just watched everything crumble. I stayed out of sight. There was nothing left to say. Agent Patel called an hour later. We got them on wire fraud, conspiracy, property misrepresentation. Jeremy's priors don't help him. And Rachel? I asked. We're still assessing her role. She'll face questions. That forged signature on the loan. It's not... nothing. The house sale was halted. Funds frozen. My name remained on every legal document. She tried to erase me, replace me. But I'd been patient, precise. And now I stood quietly in the wreckage, not broken. Just finished with her. I never saw Rachel again. Not in person, anyway. She moved out of the house after the investigation. I kept it long enough to sell it, then used the money to buy a cabin in Montana. 2 bedrooms, 10 acres, and no one in. Sight for miles. I named the new dog Scout, a German shepherd, sharp and loyal. He doesn't ask questions, just stays close. One day, I got a letter. A Navy wife in Texas. Said the FBI told her my case helped break the operation before it reached her. You saved our home, she wrote. I read it twice. Tacked it to the fridge. Sometimes late at night I still think about what Rachel did. But I don't feel anger anymore, or grief. She made her choices, and I made mine. I'm not rebuilding what we had. I'm building something better. Something that can't be stolen.